So, what is a project? Well, basically anything which needs to get done over a period of time involving a group of tasks, people, money, and deliverables. And yeah, they're small, mid, and large projects. Some are even tiny, and others are huge, depending on how complex they are, what you need to deliver, and how many people are involved, and how many people are impacted, or how many people benefit from the project. An example of a project would be upgrading a system, creating a new workspace, developing an application, bringing in new equipment, and so on. Pretty much anything you can think of which involves time, money, and people. A budget in project management is the amount of money you need to complete a project. So how much money you're going to spend in total from the beginning of the project until the end. And this includes everything: resourcing, licensing, consultancy fees, training, traveling, contingency, etc. Everything. All the costs that are part of the project should be in the budget, and the budget is basically a baseline estimate or forecast of expenses or costs. Once you develop your budget, you should keep a copy for your records, especially after it has been approved by management and before you even start the project. Like I said before, it should act as your baseline, and you will be measured against this. This is one of your key metrics, and you need to be really good at keeping track of what you're actually spending or actuals versus your budget. A schedule is the time frame for you to complete the project, so a timeline or Gantt chart. You can create a schedule using many different tools, from a basic Excel file or PowerPoint to more advanced tools such as Microsoft Project, Smartsheets, and Visio. But there are many more, and I'll cover some of them in this course. A schedule generally has a couple of phases, and within those phases, groups of tasks, milestones, and deliverables. A milestone is basically a major deliverable within the project and is marking the schedule for reference of key dates and tasks. For example, a project milestone within the schedule could be the approval of the business case. And you don't need to do anything special with milestones aside from simply highlighting them so that you and other team members can identify those critical points in time. Critical in the sense that they are important dates within the schedule. A common question about the schedule is how detailed it needs to be, how granular. And the answer to that is as detailed as you want it to be, since you will be managing the schedule as a PM. If you need to monitor something, or if it's a key activity involving resources and time, then it should be in the schedule. But keep it simple and concise. It's not as hard as it sounds, and a lot of companies have schedule templates which they use for the projects. If they do, they'll probably ask you to use their official template. And they might have a master schedule which consolidates the projects from all project managers who work in the company. You can also find many templates online. You're definitely going to hear a lot about resourcing in project management. And whenever we talk about resourcing in project management, we are talking about people and their cost. It's how much money they are costing the project. And calculating resourcing is really easy if you know what you're doing. All you need to do is multiply the hourly rate times the number of hours each person will work on the project. And this is tied to the schedule. If you recall, when you create your schedule, you define the tasks. Well, a second step in that process is defining who will perform each task and how long it will take. Again, these are all estimates, which is precisely what you use for your budget and resourcing. Another way of calculating resourcing is using a percentage of allocation for a person. For example, say you need a business analyst to work on a project 50% of the time for 1 month, and you know that person costs $10,000 a month, which is not their salary, but what they actually cost the company. So their salary plus super or pension, health benefits, etc. So, given we are estimating that this person will work on the project 50%, and their total cost is $10,000 a month, then they will cost the project $5,000 a month. And you can use this simple method with all of your other resources. Projects are generally broken into four main phases: discovery or pre-planning, planning, execution or implementation, and closure. Although the number and the name of the project phases may vary, in general, they're pretty similar across all methodologies and basically break up projects into an initial phase, a strategic phase, an execution phase, and a wrap-up or final phase. But don't worry too much about this. In a moment, I will walk you through each of the project phases in more detail and provide links to resources with more information. Keep in mind that some companies might also have custom phases specific to their work environment. And if that's the case, I'm pretty sure that we will walk you through how to manage projects with inductions, support from other PMs, templates, handbooks, and guides. As a project manager, you need to be flexible and you need to be able to adapt to different project phases if required. So let's talk about each of the project phases in more detail. This is a very early and initial phase of the project where you're pretty much setting the foundation for your project and understanding the business needs and requirements. In the discovery phase, you will work on defining your project objectives, the project scope, budget, resourcing, high-level schedule, and many other key items that are part of your business case. I'll share a business case template later so that you can explore more about the discovery phase. But basically, the main deliverable of a discovery phase is to have a robust business case ready for review and approval. The planning phase of a project is where you define in detail how you will perform implementation. So, for example, what you will test and how you will test it. Or how you will migrate users, in what order, and how many at a time, from which areas, on which days, etc. Anything and everything that you need to analyze, define, or prepare prior to implementation is part of your planning phase. Other examples of planning include your communication plan, change management plan, training plan, test plan, migration plan, and so on. So I guess the name of this phase speaks for itself. It's about planning. The execution or implementation phase of a project is an exciting and challenging phase. It's where you get to make plans a reality and where you go from documents, plans, and theory to actions. This is probably one of the most complex and important phases of a project, and the whole team needs to be really focused on their assigned tasks to ensure flawless project execution. As a PM, you will coordinate, prioritize, and assign tasks during this phase and steer the team to delivering on time and within budget. You'll also play a crucial role during implementation by liaising with the different business units, areas, or departments, and keeping all stakeholders and end users up to date with progress, key dates, and next steps. Think of yourself as the captain of a ship during this phase. You will be making strategic and tactical decisions, working closely with your team, helping out end users, collaborating with other areas, broadcasting project comms, monitoring progress, resolving problems or issues, supporting end users, and working closely with your team to ensure a successful project outcome. This is the final and post-implementation phase of the project, which basically consists of wrap-up activities and tasks such as documentation, project management system updates, operational handover, performing a post-implementation review, a lessons learned session, and many other final activities. During this phase, it's important to keep a pulse on how end users are feeling about the project, iron out any outstanding issues, perform a final review of actuals versus the budget, and basically ensure all relevant documentation and information is stored where it needs to be stored and can be easily accessible for future reference, audits, or reports. Another key part of the closure phase is recognition, and this is something a lot of project managers leave out. Not because they don't think it's important, but because they might forget or get caught up with other projects. But I want you to learn that you need to make time for recognition because it's really important, and it encourages team members to continue to perform in other projects. It also fosters a positive environment and inspires people to continue working with you on future projects. And remember, it's not so much about what you do, but about actually doing something. Taking the time and making the time for people who have worked with you long hours to ensure a successful implementation.